Hello, it's me Philip and welcome back to the channel. In this bag there should be an orange Game Boy Advance. Now it's been taken apart. There's only one picture. I paid £22.75 for it, and the description says Game Boy Advance in orange, faulty, does not boot, no power. Have opened and tried to repair, seems like the battery leaked a little bit. I've cleaned, but there is a damaged component, maybe other faults. Console comes disassembled with screws and all pieces for spares and repair. No returns. So that is today's video. Let's have a look and see what I've got. So at least I've got some screws. What else have I got? I think that's it. Put them to one side. Right, battery contacts are nice and clean, surprisingly. So that doesn't match the description, because I thought they would have been contaminated. Unless he's trying to repair it by cleaning these battery contacts up. There is some corrosion on this one, but other than that, it looks remarkably clean. Strange. I guess we'll put some batteries in and try it. Right, nothing on that switch. So it could be just a faulty switch or perhaps a fuse. So we'll check that. Microscope's working as it should. There we go. Right, what we got? I mean, that looks pretty good. So we'll go into continuity mode. Positive on the battery terminal to the fuse, yes. Out of the fuse, yes. To the switch, yes. And it should come out of the switch, yes. And I think this is in the off position. Yes it is, because look, it says on, switch 1 and off. So the switch is actually working. Now it's getting a bit more interesting. That inductor's fine. So I should go from the terminal through the fuse, through the switch to here. And I do. Let's have a look at these. These contacts look okay. Right, well that's quite interesting. I would have thought that would have been it. I'll plug my power supply in and we'll put the supply on here and see what happens. Right, so the batteries are 1.5, so I've got 3 volts on my power supply. And we'll switch on. And I can tell you it's drawing nothing. It's not taking any current. So what's next? I think we'll take this board out, which is already practically out. And I'm going to focus on this DC to DC converter thingy-mabob. Right, now look, can you see what I can see? We have a capacitor out and D3 isn't on. So I don't know what's happening there. The other side of the board doesn't look like it's had any work done to it. That side, what's going on there? Look at that. I'm going to try and have to find a replacement for D3 by the looks of it. I wonder if I've got a spare board. Let's have a check. Oh, I might be lucky. This board does work. This is the one with the short circuit underneath the CPU to the memory chip. But I do have a D3 on there. It seems a shame to take this one off because the board does work. It just needs a switch. But I think if I had the choice of a working board, I'd have the other one working. So we'll take this one off. So D3 is a M6K. That is the faulty board. We'll clean that up. Our capacitor's gone back on nicely. Seems to be taking a lot of heat. Something stuck on that pad. Let's see if that's gonna go on nicely. I think that might do it. Some corrosion there we might have to look at, if that hasn't got it. So, what do you think? I'm quite confident. If I can... Is that the right way? I'm putting it in the wrong. It needs to go that way, doesn't it? Okay. In fact, I'm so confident I'm going to put it back together. But I'm not that confident enough to put the screws in. Right, here we go. First time. It'll be nice if I said first time and it was actually first time. Oh, it's not. Still nothing. That's disappointing. Let's hook up the power supply and see if it's taking any amps. Right, 3 volts, no amps. Switch on. Oh, I am switched on. Right, still nothing. Right, switch off. Let's just have another look. I mean, that looks okay. I'm worried about these 2 wires down there, which are corroded. The capacitor looks okay, but there's 2 wires here. It's strange just to have such a small piece of corrosion on one component. Just trying to work out what that should be connected to. Let's bring in the other board. See what's happening with this one. So those wires are part of that. Is that ground? Yeah. So that goes to D3A. Yes. That looks like it's ground, I think, the top one. So I'm still not getting anything. I'll plug it back in and I'll check for voltage on these caps and voltages on this chip here. 3 volts on the battery terminal. 3 volts coming out the bottom of the inductor there. 3 volts on these caps. I had a feeling, I thought that top pin there should have been voltage. I could be wrong, but I thought this cap came out of one of these pins up here. I'm going to solder some power leads onto here so I can power it on away from the board, and I'm going to check for voltages on the main chips. I'm just wondering if I've got that D3 on properly. I'm just going to put a little bit of extra solder on there. And try that again. Right, power on? No, it's not taking any current. Right, a couple of power cables on there. They just let me power this up like that and like that, away from the board. Right, 3 volts. Right, 3 volts there. Pin 1 on the CPU should have voltage on, and it doesn't. I'm just looking at this DC to DC converter. I've got no voltage on that DC to DC converter. Hang on. No. Helps if I turn it on. Right, 3 volts out of that inductor. CPU doesn't have anything. And I don't seem to be getting anything out of this. I think that's going into it. But I don't think I've got anything coming out of it. What, 2.9 volts on the D3 that I've just put in. 2.7. I wonder if it's this. I'll have to bring up the schematic. I'm sure this one, this one, and this one, and this one are all connected. Yeah. But this one doesn't have anything coming out of it. Is that wire loose? VDR3 test point. Nothing. VDD15. Nothing. Nothing. VCC. There's a difference between VCC and VDD. I think this could be faulty. If I turn off the power and I go to continuity mode, I get continuity on these. I do get continuity on these because that only seems to be connected to the first pin and this pin. I'm still not convinced that this is correct. That has to go to ground. I'm finding it strange that I haven't got a path to ground. I'm wondering if that should go to ground through that via. No, I don't think it should. Right, so here's the switch. When we switch on, we should have voltage on V in and V in on U4, which is pin 1 here by the looks of it. Right, so on. Power coming in. What am I missing? 3 volts. 3 volts at the fuse. Fuse is gone. It looks like the fuse has gone. I've got no voltage coming out of that fuse. Switch off. That's a bit strange. Has me replacing this blew the fuse somehow? Or have I been working on it and I've blew the fuse? Yes, I blew the fuse. That's strange. I'm going to do what you shouldn't do, and I'm going to bridge it with a little bit of magnet wire. Right, well that fuse has been bridged with a bit of wire, which is never a good idea really. So I'm going to turn my amps down to 300 and I'm going to power it back on. I'm going to switch on here. I'm going to see if it takes the amps, and it still doesn't power on. Right, but I've got 3 volts and I've got nothing on that cap. That could be my amps on my power supply, might be too low. Right, I'm on again with 1 amp. I'm still not getting anything. Got nothing coming out of that fuse. I'm sure I've just done it right. What's going on? It's like a catalogue of errors. Where's my fuse wire gone? Not stuck on the bottom here, is it? I must have pulled it back off. Good grief. Start again, fill up your clutch. I thought this was going to be an easy fix. It is. I'm pulling the fuse wire back off. I think it's probably a bit too thick. This is the stuff I normally use. Right, try that. Continuity. Right, I've got continuity. So I don't know if this is going to go from bad to worse, but I'm going to give it 3 volts and I'm going to turn on. You ready? Right, still not taking anything. 3 volts, 3 volts, 3 volts up there. So U4, V in 1. I'm going to check for voltage on the CPU. Right, U1 here, CPU. Pin 1, VDD3. So I've got no voltage on the CPU. Right, find out where that goes to, or comes from. VDD3, VDD3, which I'm sure comes from that U4 chip. Sure came from here last time I was working on one of these. There's VDD3, VDD3 test. And it looks like it comes out of pin 4 on that transformer there, look. I'm going to follow the voltage out of this switch. Comes to test point VCC. Right, there's test point VCC, 3 volts. So I've got VCCC. It should go up to V in and then pin 1 on U4. There's the power switch, and T1 comes along here straight to pin 4 on T1. So there's T1, 1, 2, 3 and 4. They seem to be all connected, and they go to D2, which I think's what I've just replaced. No, I've just replaced D3. D2's on the other side of the board. Now I've got voltage on it coming in. I don't seem to have any voltage of it coming out. So I'm wondering if that's got a fault on it. They're all connected. But they're not. I could have sworn those should be connected. This is the faulty board. That's definitely connected. There's the 2 wires coming out. So if that's 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6 and 8 look like they're connected. So 6 and 8 should be connected, I would have thought. 8 goes to ground. Well, that must mean 6 goes to ground. And it does. That's definitely not connected to that. So 8 goes to ground, but 6 isn't. I'm sure that's broken. I'm sure that's the fault. I'm going to have to take that off. I'll do that. I'll take that off. Just putting some fresh leaded solder on. I'll put some on this board as well. And the writing is the right way up. So when I put it back on, you want all 4 connections on the bottom and the 2 connections at the top. So this is the working one. Oh no, got a cap fall off from the other side of the board. That's no good. I might have to use me soldering iron. Tell you what, I'll take the suspected faulty one off first. I don't know how I'm going to get this off without hot air. But I've got a plastic switch on the bottom of there. And I've already knocked the cap off that side on the old board. It's the best way to get this off now then. Now the bad news is, now that I've removed the solder, any like corrosion on it, that's measuring okay now. 6 and 8 are shown connected, so that might not have been the problem. So I can resolder them pads up, because it is connected how it should be. Bugger. Well, I'm glad I checked that before I actually took that off. So it must have been just tarnished pads stopping it from registering with my multimeter. I wonder if that has somehow cured the fault. I think that might be worth a test. It's not taking any amperage. Well, if they go to ground, how does it work? How does it output voltage on one side if it goes to ground? I don't understand that component. I mean, I don't understand where the voltage comes out if pins 6 and 8 go to ground. It's baffling us. I'm baffled. I'm going to take another look at this little component that I've just put on. Find out where it's supposed to be connected to. It's D3. Here's D3, a diode, and it only has 2 connections. Is that a Schottky diode? It should be connected actually to pin 8 on U4. So pin 8 on U4 should be connected to that, and it goes to the inductor D3A. I do have 3 volts there and 3 volts there, so it does seem to be working. So I think that's alright. So it should go up to pin 8 up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I don't have any voltage on pin 8. Nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. Pin 1, 2.9, pin 8, nothing. So how does that get to pin 8? D3, look. And then it goes out pin 8, which is V out 3. So I'm going to have a look on the board scan. Right, so there's the board scan. So pin 8 goes to the capacitor at the top, and then it comes down to... That's the problem I had with the last capacitor. This can't be the same problem I had last time. So pin 8 comes under here, down to this capacitor on continuity, and it does. It then seems to go through these 2 wires which is there, which I would have thought connected to D3. So they come through here. That's D3 on the other side of the board. This one here, this is where they're coming out of, and they're going back down to there. So they come out of there, and then it looks like they go back down to here. And then it looks like they're going to have to go, I bet they'll go back through them two there, down through there, they come through here, come down to these two, and then through them two, which is probably going to be, I would expect, these two. So they should come to these two. It looks like they're full of corrosion. It's got to be these two fully, which are corroded. So if I go from there to there, I should have continuity from there to there, but I don't think I do. And this has taken me far too long. So I have a very small drill bit. I'm just going to be very gentle. I'm going to find a smaller drill bit now. The smallest one I've got is this one. There we go. I'm through. I'm going to put a bit of IPA on there, because what I need to do, it's hard to see because when the cable is pointing straight up, you cannot see it. Right, there. So I will double check that. There it is on the board. So it's from there to there. There's two there, three underneath. Two there, three underneath. So it's across them two, from that one to that one. And then on the other side of the board, it's from this one to this one and up to them two. So that's correct. So now I should have continuity from this pad up to here, and I don't. I think I'll have to solder that on. Yeah, I'm quite confident that's correct. So I'm going to solder that on, and we'll solder that onto there. Oh, it's come off. It's come off, so I'll pop some solder onto this side. Let's see if that's got it. From there to there. Yes, and it should go to here. And it does. Phew. Right. Alright, well, let's try that again. I'm really fed up with this one. Right, here we go. Move that out of the way. Right, ready? Go. Did you hear it? It made a ping. Switch off. It made a ping. I wish I'd give those corroded wires a proper look before I started messing. That little drill bit I used earlier was just from Little Parkside. Smallest one, 0.03. Good for clearing out the wires. I need to clean up this. I need to make sure that the start and select button around here are free from flux. That side's okay. So I've just cleaned up that little bit there, and I've cleaned up the start and the select button and around here. Right, let's put it back together. Buttons in the right place. They're all in the right place. Put them. Am I supposed to put these buttons in before I put the board in? I'm struggling. That one goes in there. Screws I like what he's done with the screws until I try to get them out. Then I don't like what he's done with the screws. I'm just pleased that I didn't take that inductor off. But it's going to show that you should always make sure your multimeter has a good connection before you rule out a part's faulty. It's upside down. I'll hold it in place. Right. Hey, I hope it plays a game after all of this. We'll get a game first. Right, GT. Right, switch on first time. Superb. Volume. Yep, excellent. So it was a faulty component which wasn't on the board. I don't know if the seller has damaged that. It seemed strange how there was only one small piece of corrosion causing all the problems. I have been recording now for, blimey, 2 hours and 10 minutes. No wonder I'm fed up with it. If I had to check that via straight away, I would have saved myself quite a bit of time. And I still haven't finished because I've got to put that capacitor back on the other board. I'd like to find out for sure what that DC to DC converter is supposed to be doing and why two sides seem to go to ground. I'll have to dig out some electronic books, I think, and get a better understanding of it. I don't want to be one of these people who spend years doing videos like this and learn very little about electronics. The whole idea was to learn electronics as I went along. Right, that's back together, and I think you'll agree that that's working spot on. It's in nice condition, needs a bit of a clean up, but I'll grab a Tetris game. Start button works. It's not a very good game to test. Left and right works. A button definitely works. B button works. Takes too long to boot up to test. Where's Tetris? I'll try the Game Boy. Yep. So the shoulder buttons are working. Start. Yeah. Left, right. Up, down. Select. Hides and shows the next brick. So that's working spot on, that. Brilliant. £22.75. This one needs that capacitor put back on. I may as well, where is it? I may as well put it back on so I don't lose it. So I took that component off to fix that one. Have I taken anything else off here to fix something else? I can't remember. I'm sure it's going to come in handy for something else. Oh no, the fuse. I've bypassed the fuse, haven't I? I forgot about that. I wonder if the fuse is actually working. I've put the whole thing back together now. I wonder if I didn't have continuity with that fuse, and I wonder if it's actually working as it should. I don't want to leave the little wire on. I'll get told off. I'll get told off in the comment section. At least this Game Boy doesn't smell of smoke. There's a screw missing. Isn't there supposed to be a screw in the bottom of there? I'm sure there is. I'm going to pause the video, go to the loo, and then come back. Okay. Let's see if we can knock this little fuse wire off. There we go. Check for continuity. No. I must have done that. I'm sure that was working at one point. There's the fuse off. There's my spare board. Let's check this fuse. That's working. That was difficult. So battery terminal to that side of the fuse. Perfect. Right. If I want to finish this up properly, all I need now is a screw for that bottom piece. But before I do that, I'll tack this one back on to this board, just to stop it going missing. Doesn't have to make contact with anything as long as it's not going to fall off. That looks okay. So back to this one. That's all done. Put this one back together. I just want a little screw for there. That looks like it's off a Game Boy Advance. A very corroded Game Boy Advance by the looks of it. I'm sure these bottom screws is a posi, so it could be that one. I wonder if one of these cleaner ones would fit. Lovely. That's better. We'll do a final test. Perfect. Okay, so that's it for the video. If you've watched this far, thank you very much for watching. I think that deserves a like. And I hope I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.